Congress is the pivot of any non-BJP coalition. Yes, YES, yes.
Okay.
We are not going to play poodle anymore. Is it repackaging of Mr. Rahul Gandhi? Undoubtedly. Is it strengthening of the Congress party? Undoubtedly. Is it to take on the BJP and set a narrative for 2024? Undoubtedly. Prime Minister has said 70 साल के लिए चीटा के बारे में कुछ नहीं किया गया. In 2009, I was the one who introduced the Cheetah project.
Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching ANI podcast with Smita Prakash. Now, today we speak with Jairam Ramesh. He has been picked by the Gandhi family, presumably, to head the media and communication cell of the Congress party. Now, he came in when there was already a pretty active media and communication cell. Mr. Surjewala was heading it. So everybody wondered what is it that he's going to bring new to the table, because he has a history of being Rahul Gandhi's daddy's boy, in the sense that he worked with Rajiv Gandhi's team, with Sam Pitroda. He worked with Dr. Manmohan Singh. He worked with Sitaram Kesri, and everybody before Rahul Gandhi came onto the political spectrum. So one wondered what he's going to bring to the table, more of the old guard, but not really. He's become it's a new avatar of Jairam Ramesh that you're watching. You're seeing him being super aggressive, taking on the BJP on every media platform, on social media, on traditional media, and he's very angry, when it comes to the way media has been so-called treating him. I spoke to him during the course of the interview about this victim mentality that the Congress has with regard to how the media treats, and he came on pretty strong. It was a very interesting talk. So listen in as to what Jairam Ramesh has to say about the media, about Rahul Gandhi, about Bharat Jodo, about his term when he was a minister, about his years in IIT, in MIT, what it was like to work with all the stalwarts of the Congress party, and now with this new avatar in Bharat Jodo. I thank you so much for coming with us and talking to ANI podcast with Smita Prakash. There's something new that we've started. We're already late. We should have done this years ago. But now, it's like there are so many formats. So you want to get into every format. So we said, well, why not start with this? Now, there are several questions that I have. I mean, you're speaking to the media every day. But everybody,
I have to.
right?
That's my job.
That's your job.
Normally, I wouldn't do it.
Correct. You are like the youngsters of today. Even the young journalists don't know that you were doing this long ago. You were an anchor.
Well, in 94, 95, I had to make some money. I couldn't survive on a government salary and at the end of the month have 200 rupees or 300 rupees left in my bank balance. So I had an offer from Anand Bazar Patrika. They were doing a new television program on Doordarshan called Business Breakfast. So they asked me whether I want to anchor it. I said, sure. So all of 95 and the first half of 96, it was good for my bank balance.
You're doing a morning show, which is
morning, I used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, like I'm doing now in the Bharat Jodo Yatra. I used to get up at 4. My guests would come to the studio in Safdarjung Enclave at 6, and we would go through the day's headlines on economics. It was on economics and business. Remember, it was 95, 96, a completely different India. It was an India that was opening up, an India in which the corporate sector had still to become the colossus that it has become today. And everybody came. I for 18 months I did this program, Business Breakfast.
There's one critic who called you the Aishwarya Rai of...
Yeah. All sorts of names.
Were you embarrassed with that?
Absolutely not. But it was fun. It was fun. Getting different people on the show, getting businessmen, businesswomen, getting economists, getting government servants, and did a couple of political leaders. It was not a political show, Smita. It was a business show.
Business show, correct.
A business show.
Yeah.
It was to highlight the business perspective, and it was to take the day's morning headlines, which you see in BBC and Channel 4 and all these other newspapers, and just go over and try to look beyond the headlines to get to the real stories of the day.
Yeah, you just tweeted, you saw that leopard picture somebody had tweeted in IIT, and you talked about your years when you were in IIT.
I spent 12 years on campus. Never saw a leopard in my life. Never. 12 years I was on campus.
Yeah.
You see, what has happened is just across the pipeline, the water pipeline in the IIT campus, there is the Are Milk Colony. And then there is the Borivali, the National Park.
Human
Singh's
habitation
Colony,
is also
So the
coming
human
there.
encroachments have taken place, human habitations have taken place. The leopards are moving out. This is happening not only in Powai, it's happening across the country. And the leopard, unlike the tiger, is a very sociable, it's a very adaptable animal. The tiger is a forest animal, but the leopard is an urban animal. So you'll find the leopard in Gurgaon, you'll find Faridabad, and they go after cats, they go after chicken.
So you went to IIT, you went to Carnegie Mellon, and I mean, there's a huge body of work which you are doing. You did PhD
Well,
or trying a
I did
PhD.
all the things that normal middle class
South Indian family. Yeah.
families are expected.
So you
to
did
be
engineering because your dad sent you, 100%,
I
right?
was 16
All
when I gave the
80s
IIT
boys.
entrance exam.
Yeah.
I was 16. I had no intention of joining IIT. My father was a professor in IIT, so he forced me to join IIT Bombay.
What
I was
engineering
so
stream?
glad that at the age of 21, when I got my degree, I was never
Been there,
I
done
always,
that.
when people introduce me as an engineer,
Yeah.
I always correct them. I say I'm not an engineer. I'm somebody who has an engineering degree. I got it by mistake.
What
but
engineering stream?
Mechanical.
Mechanical, okay.
So I gave the IIT entrance, got in, then I, did everything that what IIT graduates normally do, applied to go abroad. So got a scholarship, went abroad. But then I did something which no IIT graduates ever did at that time and still don't do, which is come back to India. So I came back to India in 1980.
You
after 5 years.
abandoned your PhD.
I
at
did.
Jodo. Why
Actually,
did that?
after 1.5 years, I just discovered this is not my cup of tea.
Okay.
I couldn't complete,
This
I
was
would
in MIT.
I would take 4 years to complete, and then at the end of it, I'd be an academic. So I didn't have the intellectual rigor at that time. And I came back, I had a good offer. I came back in 80. So that's something that was somewhat alien to what my generation did.
In the 80s, they didn't.
In the coming back in the 80s and applying for a cooking, for a LPG connection, applying for a phone, didn't have a car, I had a Barsati in Anand Lok.
You're married then? No.
No,
Not
I
yet.
got married in 81.
Okay. Huh. And also, you have
I thought
all
we were
this.
discussing Bharat Jodo Yatra.
We are getting to that, promise you. I'm just going chronology.
There's no connection between my life and the Bharat Jodo Yatra.
No, you are a strategist. I want to get to why you've been picked to be the strategist for media, for the Bharat Jodo. Why has the Gandhi family picked you?
I think you should ask Mrs. Sonia Gandhi
Right.
this question.
Next time, I'm going to come to you to tell her to come to this podcast, please.
I certainly request her. I
Yes.
certainly tell her that I was asked why you have appointed me,
Yeah.
and you are the only person who
So
can
I
answer
would
this
have
question.
asked this to Narasimha Rao, who picked you. I would have asked it to VP Singh, who picked you. I would have asked Sitaram Kesri, who picked you.
Dr.
I would
Manmohan
have
Singh.
asked Dr. Manmohan Singh, who picked you. I would have asked और कोई मेरा बच्चा Sam Petroda, who picked you. और कोई है? अब मुझे बताना. And now you're telling me I shouldn't go into your past.
No, so the God has, been kind to me.
No,
I've
no,
been
the
at the
men
right
in the
place at
Congress,
the right time.
besides the Gandhi family, have been kind to you or have seen your potential. And please don't tell
So
me
I'll
why
tell
I'm
you,
not.
I'll tell you the secret of my success. I was
Okay.
the first man to start using a laptop.
Ah, okay.
See, I started using a laptop in 1990. I was probably the first man in government of India to have a laptop.
Okay.
I had a small Zenith laptop. It was
Oh,
made in
Rajiv Gandhi's computer
Yes.
boys.
No, Rajiv Gandhi had a big Toshiba computer.
Huh.
I was the first one who had a laptop.
Okay.
It was literally a laptop. It was made in Taiwan. Got into India at SEEPS, the Santa Cruz Electronic Processing Zone. So I was probably the first. And I certainly was the first to get an email address. So
Okay.
my email address was jairam@vsnl.com. I was probably the first man to get a vsnl.com email
Okay.
address. This was
Right.
in 96.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, the fact that I had a laptop, I had a portable printer, and I had an email address
Among
were
all these
tremendous
dinosaurs,
advantages.
right?
Sorry?
Who among all the
Right.
dinosaurs who wanted triplicate में मेरे को form दे दो, why would you, with all this American education, you would have got a good corporate job? Why did you?
No, I never wanted to get into the corporate sector.
No?
I mean, the one thing that has always been with me, I wanted to work in the public domain. So that's why, in 81, when I came back, I started working in the government of India. I worked in the Ministry of Industry. Then Dr. Manmohan Singh recruited me into the Planning Commission with a couple of others. So I worked in the various finance ministry. So I worked in the government of India. I was what is today what Mr. Modi calls lateral service.
You got
I was
into
one of
yeah.
the products of the lateral service in the 80s. Monte Ahluwalia, for example, many others, Vijay Kilkar, myself, we all joined laterally. We were the Indian lateral service. So in 90, what happened was when the change took place, when VP Singh became the Prime Minister, I
Yeah.
just went to call on Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, whom I had known because I'd worked with Mr. Sam Petroda. So he asked me, "What are you doing?" So I said, "Sir, this is what I'm doing, and then he said, "Well, it doesn't sound very exciting. Why don't you come and work with me for the elections?" So I said, "Elections? Are you going to have elections soon?" So he said, "Could be." This was December of 1990.
Right.
So I started working with Mr. Gandhi in December of 1990. And so that's how my political journey started.
Okay.
And May 1991, he was assassinated. And, Mr. Narasimha Rao, obviously, whom I had never met in my life,
So
obviously
you
had
were
heard
from
of me.
Andhra, right?
No, no,
I mean,
no. I was
originally
born in Chikmagalur,
Chikmagalur.
the
Okay.
same state as you are.
Okay,
I used to
right.
speak to your father in Kannada.
In Canada. Okay. But there is some connection to Andhra also?
I was an MP from Andhra
MP
for
from
two
Andhra.
terms, from
Okay.
2004 to 2016. I was an MP for 2 terms from
That didn't
Andhra.
bring you close to Narasimha Rao?
No. Narasimha
No,
Rao,
he
no.
wasn't parochial
Absolutely,
in that
absolutely.
respect.
No. Narasimha, I became an MP in 2004. Mr. Narasimha Rao passed away in
Passed away.
2004.
Correct.
So, no. Narasimha Rao, you
Yeah.
must have seen me working with Mr. Gandhi. He must have heard,
Okay.
must have done his
Okay.
due diligence. So I started working with him.
Huh.
And then, Congress lost power in
Yeah.
96. Mr. Chidambaram asked me to join him in the finance ministry when he
So
was the
it's
finance
always
minister.
this kind of a bureaucratic Rajya Sabha. I mean, that's the criticism that you've been
No, up to
around for
90.
40
No,
years,
up to
but you
98.
haven't come for an election. I mean, Ghulam Nabi Azad
I
also
had
said
never
this.
wanted to fight an election.
Why?
Well, no, I mean, first of all, I don't have the resources to fight an election.
Ah,
Number one. Number two, I don't think I'm cut out for 24/7 political life. I have other interests in life. I like to read, I like to write, I like to travel.
and
The life of a
that's why.
Lok Sabha
Okay.
MP
Is
is
why.
the most difficult job in our country. It's a thankless job. It's a 24/7 job. And I've seen many of my colleagues, and I admired their tenacity and I admired their endurance. And I knew from day one that if I'm in politics, I'm going to be a backroom political animal. I'm going to be
Even for Rajya
I'm
Sabha.
going to be an intellectual in politics. Although the intellectuals think I'm a politician and the politicians think
Yeah.
I'm an intellectual.
Exactly. Now, I didn't want to say this. I'm
When
asking
the worst abuse you can get in politics is वो तो बुद्धिजीवी हैं. See, normally, बुद्धिजीवी is supposed to be a sign of, good acceptance.
In fact,
But
you
when a
once said
politician
this,
calls you buddhijeevi,
you're too well read.
yeah, too well read for politics. Because politics, Sitaram Kesri once told me that, Jairam, ये सुनो देखो राजनीति दिमाग से नहीं की जाती है, दिल से की जाती है.
Okay.
So दिल आप दिल बढ़ाओ, दिमाग का इस्तेमाल कम करो.
In fact, there was one interview or something that, or you gave, or somebody said that it was a comment that you made in passing that, you probably, the well read people in the Congress don't find their upward trajectory very quick. This was years ago.
It's tragic because in the 50s, Indian politics was entirely different. The Indian freedom movement was all well-read people
yes,
who came
barristers
into the
and-
freedom
yeah,
movement.
yeah,
I mean,
correct.
extraordinarily well-read. And they wrote books. And they didn't have ghost-written books. They wrote books on their own. Unlike many people in politics who have ghost-written books, ghost-writers, these people, Rajagopalachari, Nehru, Bose, Gandhi, Patel, all of them were all extremely well-read people and professional people
But
and
that
writers.
changed.
That changed somewhere in the 60s and 70s because, and I don't regret it because that's Indian politics itself changed. The nature of Indian politics changed. It became more competitive. It became more populist. It became much deeper into the ground. Democracy became deeper.
Isn't that what it should be?
No, that's the way it should be. Because I would say till the late 60s, politics was still sort of a, aristocratic, middle class, well-educated people coming from, well-to-do backgrounds, professional backgrounds. But that changed, and I'm glad it changed because today, if there is one instrument of social mobility in India, it's not the media, it's not the corporate sector, it's not the bureaucracy, it's politics.
Okay.
Its politics has given voice and identity to people from sections of society which have been discriminated and disadvantaged for centuries.
And yet, at one point of time, when you were asked whether, you'll get another term in Rajya Sabha, you said, the Congress party is not going to nominate me to the Rajya Sabha. I'm not scheduled caste, woman, Muslim, backward or anything. I don't have a godfather, godmother. Tomorrow, if I were to join BJP, my chances of nomination would be probably much brighter. Maybe a flippant remark.
I don't remember having made that
quoting it.
remark. There are many remarks attributed to me.
Okay.
There are many remarks attributed to Mahatma Gandhi, for example, which he never made.
Or Lincoln.
One of the most famous comments of Gandhi, which he never made, was that the world is enough for everybody's need, but not enough for everybody's greed.
Greed.
Mahatma Gandhi never said
Never
that,
said.
but we like to think that he said it.
Okay.
So that's one of those comments that have been attributed.
Did you get
to me.
miffed at times when, if you didn't get a job, you had to quit because
I-
you didn't play to the gallery, you didn't do the
Once I had
Jehuzuri?
decided, see, remember from 98 to 2004, we were down in the dumps. And in 2004, nobody expected us to win, least of all Congress leaders. All senior Congress leaders, barring Mrs. Gandhi and one or two other people, were convinced that Mr. Vajpayee was coming back. Because
And you had to
India
run
was
the
shining.
war room at that
I was
time.
running the war room at that time. Me and Salman Khurshid were the only two people running the war room. It was a
99 South
two-room,
Avenue.
99 South
South
Avenue.
Avenue. 99 South
99.
Avenue.
99 South Avenue which didn't have a toilet, and which we had to go to the nearby Claridge's Hotel every time, we had to use the toilet.
Yeah.
It was
So
a
it was
two-room operation.
Vajpayee versus Khichdi.
It was,
Vajpayee
yeah,
versus
it
who?
was, no, not even Khichdi.
Not
The
even
Khichdi
who?
comes after.
Post, okay.
Remember the UPA.
272 wasn't happening.
UPA is formed after the election. So we went.
Post election.
It was post-election.
It was that India Shining
it was
election.
India Shining versus
So-
Aam Aadmi ko kya mila. Our campaign was Aam Aadmi ko kya mila.
Yeah.
Of course, the word Aam Aadmi then got appropriated by
Okay.
Mr. Kejriwal and company. But our entire campaign in 2004, and as Mr. Vajpayee was asked once, Vajpayee ji, kya hua? So Vajpayee, in his inimitable style, remarked, ये क्या कहें, ऐसा चुनाव है जो जीता उसको कोई उम्मीद नहीं थी कि वो जीतेंगे, और जो हारे वो कभी उम्मीद सोचा भी नहीं था कि वो हारेंगे. So this was a
They were
victory.
flying high at
This was
that
a
time.
victory that the victors didn't expect, and this was a victory that the losers didn't expect.
And the media also, I think, was not giving you much scope at that time.
Nobody. But
Yeah.
we had done a opinion poll, which we then selectively, not planted, but selectively shared with sections of the media, which showed that the Congress could well emerge as the single largest party. And I remember there was shock. There was consternation even amongst my senior colleagues. How can the Congress, be the single largest party? ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता. But the fact is that we emerged as the single largest party in 2004. In 2009, of course, we were the party in power. I still ran the campaign in 2009. But nevertheless, it was an easier campaign because we were running it as an incumbent government. And I actually, to be honest with you, I did not expect to get more than 175 or 180 seats. My late friend and his colleague who worked with me, Mr. Ahmed Patel, and I were comparing notes before the counting day, and our most optimistic assessment in 2009 was maybe 175 to 180. We ended up getting 2009 and 209. We
Tell
got
me,
209
at that time-
in 2009, and we were the second largest party in UP.
Yes,
We got
22
seats in UP. This was in 2009, just 13 years ago.
See,
now, of course, you're writing our obituaries. So, it's the moral of the story is never
never
had
know.
an obituary of the Congress party.
And best laid plans of mice and men. Right, in 2004, what the whole spiel was that, of India Shining.
Yeah.
At that stage, I mean, you worked with Narasimha Rao. You were in you were in OSD at that time, right? You worked in that. You knew that, they were talking about the India Shining thing, why couldn't you at that time say that, hey, we had the 1991 reforms. We were the ones who ushered in. Somehow the Congress party doesn't embrace that
No, we
part
knew that was a
till
non-starter. We knew it is a non-starter. We did dipstick surveys, and we found that there was a lot of disappointment that their people's lives had not changed, and there was this big image being portrayed of India shining. And in fact, this line "Aam Aadmi ko kya mila" came from a vox pop that we did with a group of people in Sonepat. So Sonepat, one Jat farmer in his own accent said, "India shining hua, but आम आदमी को क्या मिला?" So we आम आदमी को क्या मिला? So
you
आम
picked
आदमी
that.
को क्या मिला?
But what about
became-
later? Don't you feel that? I mean, it's only now, like, see, when Nirmala Sitharaman says that the reforms were incomplete or something, then you get up to defend, or not you as such, but I mean the Congress party. It's never given due to that period and never
No,
owned
that's
it.
not exactly true. But remember, the
Just
Congress
the op-ed
party,
columns of maybe
the
Chidambaram and you.
Congress
That's
party is basically a center-left party. It's not a left of center party.
Okay.
It's a center-left party. It's traditionally been a center-left party. And there was ambivalence in the Congress party on the 91 reforms. There was ambivalence. And Mr. Narasimha Rao and Dr. Manmohan Singh had tremendous problems navigating these reforms.
Not just the
through
left
Congress.
parties who were in the
not just
coalition, within the
Congress
party, yeah.
Within the Congress party, the majority of the Congress MPs were very ambivalent on the reforms that were introduced. It took Dr. Manmohan Singh's intellectual ability and Mr. Narasimha Rao's political skills to help navigate these reforms in 91 and 92. Now, once the reforms started showing results, then what started off as compulsion, people then became convinced. Narasimha Rao didn't believe in these reforms in 91. We would discuss every day and he would say, "This is my compulsion." But by 93, Mr. Narasimha Rao would go to Davos and say, "This is my conviction." So compulsion becomes
Yeah,
conviction.
why not, right? When you see that
No,
the
no,
people are
results.
benefiting.
Yeah, when the results were coming out, investment was coming, the headlines were good.
I'm kind of confused as to where you stand, because you seem to be a proponent of this opening up of the economy, but at the same time you were anti BT Brinjal, you were anti, and your whole tenure as environment minister, you talk about anti mining activities, that mining it doesn't. So where do you stand? I can't figure out. Are you Naxal and extreme left?
I
Are
don't
you
have
right?
an ideology. I don't have an ideology. I'm not extreme left. I'm not center right either. I'm an extreme centrist. Extreme centrist, and I think
What is extreme centrist?
extreme centrist is you try to find the middle ground at every point of time. You find the middle ground, and if you don't find the middle ground, there are some times in which you don't find the middle ground, then you go by the book. So the reason why I threw the book at Vedanta on Niyamgiri is because they had violated every single environmental law. The reason why I threw the book at Lavasa, although Lavasa had a lot of political backers, is because Lavasa never had any environmental clearances. The reason why I threw the book on BT Brinjal was simply because that the scientific community itself was not convinced that BT Brinjal was in India's best interest. So
It came out later,
when
right?
there
That
is
there
a
was
doubt.
the Jayanti tax and there was
No,
the
that
environmental.
came much later, but I don't want to talk about that. But I can tell you about my tenure today. Today we are talking, the entire country is excited by cheetah. And our Prime Minister has said, 70 साल के लिए cheetah के बारे में कुछ नहीं किया गया. In 2009, I was the one who introduced the cheetah project.
I saw your
Today I
tweet.
put out the letter to show that the Prime Minister
But it
was
never
not right.
fructified, right?
No,
So many of the
I'll tell you why it didn't fructify. I went to South Africa in 2010. I identified the place where we were going to get cheetahs. And some people went to the Supreme Court.
because you were
and-
bringing the lions and the cheetahs to live in the same place, no?
They will live one day. Mark my words. Mark my words. In Kuno, one day, lions and cheetah. If you have been to East Africa, lions and cheetahs share the same habitat.
Yeah, but
Lions and cheetahs share the same habitat. Unfortunately, the lion in India is not. It's become a matter of pride. It's a matter of politics. Nobody, one person does not. Supreme Court has said we must develop a second home for the lion. The second home for the lion was Kuno. Kuno was developed as a home for the Gir lion. But one man says, no, this is Gujarati Asmita. I will not let the lion go from Gir, and that's why that Kuno had to be developed as a cheetah habitat. Now the point I'm making is that this is again as an example. The people went to the Supreme Court, and for Supreme Court for 7 years. Why would the Supreme Court of India have to decide whether cheetah should be introduced or not? Surely
It was
this
a
is
forest bench when
no,
people
this
go.
is a matter
But
for
everything
biologists.
goes, like all
this is a
environment
matter.
related issues.
Not when I
Fine.
was minister. Not when I
Fine.
was minister. Not when the reason why it goes to the judiciary is because the executive is not functioning. This is the job of the executive. The job of the judiciary is not to take decisions on behalf of the executive. It is to interpret the laws, not to implement the laws.
So there was another thing that had happened was that when I think I don't recall exactly was when you were castigated at one point of time for bringing in the Chinese telecom. You were in China and you said that the Home Ministry is being
No,
extremely.
I said we should have a
We should
have
allow-
a be more pragmatic on China. Well,
So
that is
now
a
tell
different
me,
time.
in hindsight, exactly. In hindsight, do you
By the
think
way, I
that
worked very well with the Chinese
With the
on the climate change negotiations. I set up the basic group, which was Brazil, South Africa, India, and China, and we worked very well together. It was a different China. It was not it was not
Xi
Xi
Jinping.
Jinping. It was Prime Minister
Jintao.
Wen Jiabao.
Oh, Wen Jiabao.
Wen Jiabao. And of course, Hu Jintao was the president, but the
Yeah.
premier was Wen Jiabao. We worked very well. I went to China 3 times a year. The Chinese came here 3 times a year. We met in different parts of the world. We collaborated. At Copenhagen, we collaborated very well.
Look, the
But
bureaucracy
the
says
Chinese
this.
changed later. The Chinese changed later. And the dominant paradigm of we have our differences, but let's set our differences aside and let's work out areas of cooperation was the paradigm that was set in December of 1988 when Mr. Rajiv Gandhi and Deng Xiaoping met. Now, unfortunately, the Chinese decided to break that paradigm in 2020. And today that model is broken.
So
So
then-
we have to reset our entire relationship. Today, if you were to ask me, would I advocate Chinese investments in India? I would say no. But there was a time when I said, let's get the Chinese, let Indian investors go to China. I remember TCS, I remember Infosys, Aurobindo Pharma, Tata Steel, Apollo Tires. I went with them to China. So I said investment is a two-way process. Let Chinese companies come to Huawei came to Bangalore.
exactly,
Huawei
Huawei.
came to Bangalore.
Yeah.
I was a user of Huawei. Huawei had a tie-up with Tata Telecom at that point of time. So there was a time when I advocated.
But that's how they were trying to get their inroads,
so
right?
Indians also should do the same thing, no? So Indian investments also were being promoted in China. Chinese investments were being promoted in India. But in today's environment, my approach to China has changed. I wouldn't advocate the same approach. We have to get the politics of our relationship back on the track it was before March 2020. March 2020 was clearly a decisive turning point.
Yeah, things have to be
We have
remapped
to, yeah,
now.
absolutely. We have to go back. I mean, you can't have a situation where, the status quo ante has been disturbed unilaterally.
Okay, let me get now to the present.
Yes,
We've
yes,
talked about the
please, enough of me.
How did you get picked to be the General Secretary in charge of media communication? And how did that
I don't
happen?
understand the decision making went behind my
Look,
appointment.
nobody
but
understands the decision making
No,
in
no,
your
no.
party.
No, no,
That's why I want to ask
Nobody.
you.
I mean, these decisions are not taken in a panchayat style. कौन बनेगा general secretary? ऐसा थोड़ी बनाया जाता है.
फिर
Some
कैसे
people decide they must have
Who
discussed.
the people? It's
I'm
just basically
I'm sure
the
General
Gandhi
Secretary
family, right?
organization. I'm sure
Who's that?
Mr. Rahul Gandhi, Mr. Venugopal would have been there.
I see.
Mr. Rahul Gandhi would have been
कौन
there.
बताओ भाई? सच
Mr.
सच बता दो. ये तो नहीं बताएंगे. ये तो
Mrs.
वो
Gandhi would have been
modest
there.
हो रहे हैं.
This was discussed in
Ma'am, sir-
Udaipur. It was discussed in Udaipur.
लेकिन मैम सर के लिए सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट जो है जो हम जो बीट कवर करते हैं वहाँ पर इनके जो पॉलिटिकल क्रिटिक भी हैं जो यही कहते हैं कि
सबके साथ बनती है.
आप नहीं, इनके लिए एक सबसे बड़ी बात है कि प्रेजेंटेशन के मास्टर है तो लगता है कि शायद इनका नाम जो है वो प्रेजेंटेशन
मतलब हारी हुई बाजी को भी कहते हैं कि हम तो जीत रहे हैं. Is that it?
ये तो मनोवैज्ञानिक बात है. ये तो ये इलेक्ट्रल बैटल है.
हाँ.
ये विचारधाराओं का टक्कर है, मुकाबला है, पर ये मनोवैज्ञानिक जंग भी है. अगर आप मन में हार जाते हो तो आप कुछ नहीं कर पाओगे. तो आपको हमेशा सकारात्मक ढंग से सोचना पड़ेगा. मैं बार बार हमारे कांग्रेस वालों को कहता हूँ, पहला आधा बैटल मन में है,
Okay.
वहां जीतो, बाद में लड़ाई लड़ो.
So this whole
So
Bharat Jodo thing.
psychologically we were down, and we were being attacked. We were being attacked by the BJP. We were being attacked by our own colleagues, like-minded parties. Of course, we were the favorite target of the media. So
But then when you keep losing, it's not targeting the party, huh? Get this. I'm not speaking on behalf of the media, but generally when the party doesn't even want to fight, when the party doesn't even want to save a government which is in the doldrums because of various machinations which are happening, the leadership doesn't even try, then will the other parties, will the media, will writers, op-ed editors, whatever, will they not write and say, and then the Congress says, humko target kiya gaya. Isn't that it?
Congress bashing is a favorite pastime not only for right-wingers. Unfortunately, Congress bashing has become a favorite pastime even for liberals.
Okay.
And even for so-called secular commentators.
Don't you think because the
armchair
liberals get
commentators, it's a
irritated?
very easy target. Congress ko maar.
Can you imagine in this country Congress
easy
being an
target.
easy target? When is it
It's a
being
very
an
easy target. It's a very easy target.
This
The Congress
is
bashing.
such a
And I tell
victim
you,
mentality
the other
that the
reason why
Congress
it's a target,
has.
It's an easy target. You try targeting the BJP and you'll be finished.
But the BJP used
You'll
to
be
say the
finished.
same thing, and you've
You
been
try
in
targeting
politics.
the Prime Minister. You try targeting the Home Minister.
Did
and
you?
You'll be finished.
Could anybody target Mr. Chidambaram when he was Home Minister in the media?
He was.
Oh, come
People,
on.
Operation
Could
Green Hunt.
anybody, the only
Operation
person,
Green Hunt, a mythical Operation Green Hunt he was accused of. He was accused of so
could
many
anybody target Mr. Pranab Mukherjee? Could anybody target
Of course,
Sonia
Pranab
Gandhi
Mukherjee-
when the UPA
Pranab
was in
Mukherjee
power?
was called a servant of Reliance. He was called, Reliance ka chamcha. Reliance Mukherjee. Reliance Mukherjee.
So you think it's not happening with Adani Ambani today? Of
We
course
are
it's
doing
happening.
it. You guys are not doing it.
No, what is it?
The
Of
Congress
course.
party is doing it. Hum
It's
do,
there.
hamare do.
It's
You
everywhere.
are not doing it.
Also, in those days, there was no social media. If you remember, this is a new phenomenon where there are
See, I tell
several
you,
media
the
entities,
basic
right?
point is, basic point, we are living in the world of geo, right? You know what I mean? So, our
No, I
policy,
don't know.
Our
Explain
policy,
now.
Our policy is geo or jine do.
No,
That
it
is
isn't.
not the policy of the BJP.
It isn't.
BJP is only geo.
No, Mr.
Ours is
Ramesh.
Geo or Jinedo.
Geo Jinedo, and you put up
Geo
that
Jinedo.
chaddi on fire. Is that
That is
Geo
not-
Jinedo?
It's not. We didn't put a. When somebody put a panja on fire, that you don't talk about.
Of course, it was talked about.
No. Come on. Who criticized the RSS and the BJP for that?
Do you
When
know
did
where
you do that?
when this chaddi on fire came up? Right, if you remember Rajiv Gandhi's time, there was this scorpions.
Yeah, I
and
know.
do you
Rediff
remember?
advertising.
Yeah, Rediff. That whole campaign that happened, and at that time there was a rethink.
Let's go back to the question that you had raised. We're getting
Do you
off
think-
into 20 different directions.
So that's what I'm
Let's go
asking
back.
you.
Let's go back to the question. you raised.
Okay.
Fundamental difference is that see, it's easy to bash the Congress because the Congress doesn't bash you back. There is a certain degree of liberalism in the Congress still.
Because maybe there's a truth. in
No, it's
what
not the truth. It's
people are
just
saying.
it's the approach of the Congress. Sabko saath le chalo. Sabko saath le chalo. Jio or jeene do. We are not ruthless. And I tell you, we don't have the killer instinct at times.
It sounds like
if
all
we
of
had
you
the
are in
killer
monks.
instinct, we wouldn't have been doing half the things that we are doing.
You're all in monks' clothes. They humko
No,
attack karte
we are not
jao,
sannyasis.
hum
We are not sannyasis. No, that's why from 17th of June, I have adopted a policy. You attack me, I'll attack you. You try to defame me, I will issue a notice to you.
FIR
So
laga
I will,
doge.
if you are going to be aggressive, I'm going to be super aggressive. So I am not going to take it lying down. Now, unfortunately, that was not my policy before. But in the job I am in, I have to set a certain pattern. I have to motivate the youngsters in my party.
तो ऐसे देख रहे हो आप?
सर यही तो चेंज पूछना चाह रहे हैं आपने। हम उससे पहले जो जयराम रमेश जी को देखते थे तो वो ऐसे देखते थे कि आप पार्लियामेंट में भी आए तो आपने बैग उठाया, आप अंदर गए, बाहर गाड़ी में बैठे, कुछ आपसे बात करनी है तो हमें कम ही मौका मिल पाता था। अब आप इस चेंज को कैसे देख रहे हैं? दूसरा चेंज ये कि जब आप कह रहे हैं कि हम हिट बैक करते हैं तो हिट बैक फिर उसी भाषा में हो रहा है जो आपके कांग्रेस रूलिंग स्टेट्स
होनी
हाँ।
चाहिए।
वहीं पे एफआईआर होती है,
होनी
जर्नलिस्ट को
चाहिए।
यहाँ पर पिक करने आ जाते हैं, पुलिस वहाँ पे आती है। तो व्हाट इज द
जब
स्टेट
वीडियो
ऑफ
को
स्ट्रेटजी?
डॉक्टर करोगे
What is the
तो
change
नतीजा
of-
यही है। वीडियो को अगर आप डॉक्टर करोगे तो नतीजा यही होगा, पुलिस आपके पीछे आएगा, एफआईआर दर्ज होगा। तो इसमें देखो, हम साधु संत तो है नहीं यार, साधु संतों का ज़माना गया राजनीति में। तो हम जो, अगर आप हमें गलत तरीके से हमसे मुकाबला करोगे, हम उसी तरीके से आपका जवाब देंगे। मैंने बार बार हमारे साथियों को कहा है, पहले दिन जब मैं आया कई लोगों ने मुझसे पूछा आपकी क्या रणनीति होगी, 2 महीने 2.5 महीने पहले क्या रणनीति होगी। मैंने कहा मेरी रणनीति एक्ट है। तो उन्होंने कहा एक्ट क्या है? एक्ट, ACT एक्ट। A फॉर एग्रेशन, C फॉर कंसाइसनेस यानी आक्रामक बनो, दूसरा C फॉर कंसाइसनेस। अरे संक्षिप्त में, आजकल का ज़माना भाषणों का ज़माना, प्रवचन का ज़माना नहीं। प्रवचन सिर्फ प्रधानमंत्री दे सकते हैं और कोई नहीं दे सकता इस देश में। तो आपको अगर कुछ कहना है 2 मिनट में कहो, 3 मिनट में कहो। और तीसरा T, टाइमलीनेस। अगर आप मुद्दा आज है, मुद्दा का जवाब अभी दो, 2 दिन बाद नहीं, 3 दिन बाद नहीं। तो उसका नतीजा आज आप देख रहे हैं। लोग पूछ रहे हैं यार ये तो नॉन वेजिटेरियन कांग्रेस है, ये तो होम्योपैथी कांग्रेस नहीं है। कांग्रेस आराम से बैठी हुई है, मारते जाओ, आलोचना करते जाओ, गाली देते जाओ, कुछ कहती ही नहीं है।
But then,
तो इसमें बदलाव आया है।
तो आपको लगता है सर कि ये
और पार्टी में मैं अभी 3 दिन में असम में था, पश्चिम बंगाल में था, उड़ीसा में था, युवा पीढ़ी में, युवा कार्यकर्ताओं में जोश आया। ठीक है सर, अभी कम्युनिकेशन में कुछ हमें क्लैरिटी मिल रही है, किंतु परंतु का ज़माना गया, किंतु परंतु का ज़माना गया। और जिस भाषा में हम कम्युनिकेट कर रहे हैं, प्रचार कर रहे हैं, वो सबको समझ में आता है।
this aggression that you're talking about, but Rahul Gandhi is he keeps saying हम प्यार की राजनीति कर रहे हैं, हम
करने दीजिए ना।
So then you're keeping the
ये गुड कॉप बैड कॉप रूटीन भी होता है।
Okay, that's a good admission.
गुड कॉप बैड कॉप भी होता है। मैं अभी बैड कॉप हूँ।
Okay, need to know basis पे होगा तो राहुल गांधी को
मैं bad cop
pristine
हूँ।
pure रखा जाएगा।
मैं बैड कॉप हूँ।
Okay, that's interesting. So you're going to be the danda in this.
I'm going to be the
Danda.
नहीं, नड्डा बेचारे यार।
नहीं, डंडा।
हाँ, I thought you said नड्डा।
No,
डंडा, बिल्कुल, I'm going to be the डंडा। I have to be, by the way. That's my job.
No, why is a
No, it's
communication
not.
person's
See,
job?
the leader's job is to manage everybody, right? My job is to communicate.
Okay.
If I do not communicate in a manner that enthuses and infuses confidence in the party worker, in the party colleague, I'm not doing my job, frankly. And I am not communicating. My first target of communication is internal. It is to educate our own people, inform our own people, enthuse our own people, and then they will develop the courage and they will have the instruments to take on our political opponents.
The number of seats that you have in parliament, you certainly punch above your weight. You know, you're there in all TV debates, you're there in the social media, you're
we are the
everywhere. So
principal
why do you say
opposition
this this victim mentality? Ki
Have you
humko-
seen the
humko-
way anchors treat our spokesperson?
The way they go
Have you
after
seen-
everybody.
Have you seen? We've had to boycott 3 channels. Right now, we have removed the ban on one of the 3 channels, but on the other 2 channels, we have not removed.
What do you get by boycotting?
If you're not allowed to present your point of view, if you're there to be insulted, why go? Anchors are no longer anchors in this country. Anchors have become partisan players in the debate. I can understand. If you're an anchor, your job, listen to you, listen to him, listen to me, and, then allow each of us to have a debate. And the anchor itself, himself or herself, becomes an aggressive participant, and he wants to bash up everybody else who has a different point of view. I don't think that's fair.
So you think the format of television
Complete.
has broken?
Complete. It's no longer an honest debate.
So-
It's no longer an informed debate. It's the anchor trying to express anger. It's not anchor, it's anger. That's all.
So isn't anger management part of a
Well, I
communicator's
hope
job?
so. But I can't manage Arnab Goswami or Rahul Shivshankar or Navika Kumar. Incidentally, we have removed the ban on one of the 3 channels, which we were not going to. We've removed the ban. Our spokesperson are going on Z, even though Z may be critical of us. I don't mind if Times Now or Republic TV are critical of us. I don't mind. Let them be critical. But they must be fair.
Fair means what? Giving you enough time to
They
speak?
must give us enough time. They can't make fun of us. They can't go after our spokespersons. They can't run down our leadership. And the language that you use also has to be somewhat dignified. If you are also going to be descending to the level of the gutter, that doesn't make for a proper debate. I don't like boycotting any channel, frankly. Let me tell you. I do not like boycotting anybody. I like to listen to people who are critical. I like to listen to you because your channel is always critical of my party. So I like your correspondent. I like to listen to him. I talk to him. So I don't want to collect only, hangers on and yes people around.
Naysayers
I don't
also.
want. But you have to move one step ahead. You have to take one step forward. So I'm sorry to say that
But
we have continuing this
I
ban
agree
on
with
two of these three channels.
Okay, fine. The channels I'm going to get out of, but I do understand that that you are miffed with some of them. I get that.
No, we are
I'm
miffed
not-
with you also.
Okay.
और lot of our people, lot of our senior leaders, our spokespersons, साहब आप ANI को इतना टाइम क्यों देते हैं?
भाई सुबह से शाम तक हमारे
आप ANI
रिपोर्टर्स
को
आपको
इतना टाइम
कवर
क्यों
करते
देते हैं?
हैं.
आप ANI, आप when I went to Kollam, when I went to
Who's
Trivandrum,
covering Rahul Gandhi
I went
from
to Kanyakumari.
every single
I
day?
was saying, first question I asked, ANI कहाँ है? So somebody asked me, sir आप ANI के पीछे क्यों पड़े हुए हैं?
अच्छा,
The
तो
first tweet about Bharat Jodo Yatra comes from
No,
ANI
no,
only.
फर्स्ट थिंग इन द मॉर्निंग पहली बात तो चैनल्स उठते नहीं है, ANI उठता है.
Sir, we always do your press conferences. We always do your interviews. Even I can say that we have interviewed Priyanka Gandhi Vadra twice. Twice we have interviewed. One in the COVID
When she
situation,
didn't have a role at that stage.
and then secondly during the UP election, and it was very lengthy showed.
यार
at
देखो,
the
अच्छा,
point.
anyway.
हमारा प्रॉब्लम मीडिया नहीं है.
Yeah,
हमारा
that's what I
हमें
wanted to
हमें
get to.
अपने आप को सुधारना है. अंदर संगठन में परिवर्तन लाना है, हमें मजबूत कराना है और हमारा कम्युनिकेशन में सुधार लाना है, हमारी राजनीतिक रणनीति में सुधार लाना है. मीडिया अपने आप आएगी. मेरा हमेशा ये मानना रहा है कि मीडिया घोड़े के समान है. वो घोड़े पर जो जॉकी बैठता है ना, वो घोड़े को सही रास्ते पर चला सकता है या गलत रास्ते पर चला सकता है. घोड़े को तेजी से चला सकता है या धीमी गति से
और
चला
आप
सकता है.
पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज हाथी हो,
तो-
क्रशिंग एवरीथिंग वेयर यू गोइंग.
नहीं, हाथी
This is
बैठ भी जाते हैं.
exactly what you do.
हाथी को
And
उठने के लिए बहुत समय
God
लगता
help
है.
the ants which
तो
come under the hathi when it sits.
मैं मीडिया की आलोचना मैं
Right.
ज्यादा करता ही
Okay,
नहीं
so
हूँ.
let's
मैं
go
ज्यादा
on this.
करता ही नहीं हूँ. मैं ज्यादा करता
So
ही
now
नहीं हूँ.
the another thing which got the Congress very angry was
और
when
मैं कहूँ
when the
पिछले
pastor
8 दिन
came.
में पिछले 5 दिन में जिन चैनलों ने हमें समय नहीं दिया करते थे, जो अखबार हमारा समाचार नहीं छपा करते थे, भारत जोड़ो यात्रा को कवर कर रहे हैं क्योंकि न्यूज आ रहा है.
So, लेकिन भारत जोड़ो
It's a
यात्रा
visual story.
अगर हम अब सही तरीके से काम करें तो मीडिया ऑटोमेटिकली आएगा. मैं
Right.
जानता हूँ
You were
ये
doing
तो-
nothing. So what do you expect? If there is rigor mortis which is setting in the party, what do we say? Oh, inaction in the party. That's news. Can we do that? Right? It's only when you guys started moving that it became a story. You're getting up in the morning at 6:30 and starting to move when all other political parties are sleeping. So it's news.
I'm glad.
Right?
I'm
so,
glad you've woken up.
So glad you have woken
Woken
up.
up.
Right? Now you're Bharat Jodo. Let me get to that. Who decides who's meeting Rahul Gandhi and why did that meeting with the pastor happen?
No, the pastor was an accidental meeting. It was not a planned interaction at all. These interactions are decided by the local PCCs.
I see.
They're decided by local leaders. We can't sit and decide who. All we have said is that we have the first phase is from 7 to 10:30. So from 10:30 to 12, Mr. Gandhi will relax. Bharat Jodo Yatris will relax. 12 o'clock they have lunch. From 2 to 3 they have an interaction. 4 o'clock we start walking again till 7:30. So we have 7 hours of walking. We cover about 21, 22 kilometers. Now in that particular instance what happened was after he addressed a press conference, he went back to his room. And while he was going back to his room, there were a bunch of local the Bharat Yatri was spending time at that church premises because the church premises was big. There was a big garden, there was a big courtyard. So they said, Rahulji, please, can we have a discussion? Can we just have some tea for 5 minutes? So Rahul Gandhi, all his innocence, he said, fine. And one guy who was not supposed to record this interaction recorded, happens to be this pastor. And then he made, highly objectionable comments, which were made even more objectionable by the media. And then we immediately put out the video, which debunked this whole thing. So these interactions take place.
They're not
He's
scripted.
meeting. They're not scripted. He is, the morning part of the yatra draws about 5,000 people. They're not sanitized. The interactions draw about 200 to 250 people. They are not sanitized. The part of the yatra, which is from 4 to 7:30, draws 25 to 30,000 people. They're not sanitized. People are coming on their own. Now, the only thing that can be sanitized is this formal interactions, with students. And that, after what happened in the first 2 days, we are now taking a little more care. For example, now we are not allowing our interactions to be recorded. We record it and we release the audio or the video, as the case may be. See, in this type of a program where he's meeting, not only he, all of us are meeting hundreds and hundreds, literally hundreds and thousands of people, it's impossible to vouchsafe for each and every individual.
Right. Then what do you say about this whole thing that it is just basically repackaging of RG, and it is to motivate the cadres of the Congress rather than the esoteric term of Bharat Jodo?
No. It is a Bharat Jodo campaign in the context of the result of the policies of the Modi government, which is leading to economic inequalities, social polarization and political centralization. That's the political part of the Bharat Jodo, which is that you need Bharat Jodo because Bharat is being todod. And Bharat is being todod as a result of the ideologies and the policies of the government, or particularly of the Mr. Modi's government and the RSS, which is leading to economic inequalities, which is leading to social polarization, and which is leading to political centralization. And that's why you need Bharat Jodo. The other objective, which I am not fighting shy of admitting and saying it on every occasion, it is to strengthen the Congress party. It is a mass contact program for the Congress party, which is, after a long time, has come on to the streets. The district, at the block level, at the district level, at the state level, workers are coming out in hundreds and thousands, literally, and getting a new sense of participation.
So you don't see
that's the
Congress
second
book
objective.
happening.
1 minute, second part. There's a third objective. Of course, it's a new Mr. Rahul Gandhi who's being seen day in and day out. His endurance, his patience, his ability to connect with people, his willingness to talk. Of course, he's listening. He's not giving Desh ke naam sandesh like some others do every time they speak. So these are the three objectives. There is a political objective, there is an organizational objective, and there is an individual objective. There's no doubt about it. I'm not running away from admitting it. Now, Mr. Gandhi is very clear that he's not leading the Bharat Yatra. And, he's Bharat Jodo Yatra. He's, one of 120. But I keep telling him that the entire public focus is on you. The media's focus is on you. Media doesn't want to interview me. Media wants to interview you.
Right.
So he knows it. But he's at pains, even in the press conference at Nagarkoil. He said, look, when somebody asked him this question, look, I am one of the 120 people who are going to complete the 3,700 kilometers. But, I understand that all of you are interested only in my movements. I mean, for example, nobody else will be interested in what I am wearing or what I am, what my shoes or my kurta or my t-shirt, how I am sleeping, where I am sleeping, and all those things. So is it repackaging of Mr. Rahul Gandhi? Undoubtedly. Is it strengthening of the Congress party? Undoubtedly. Is it to take on the BJP and set a narrative for 2024? Undoubtedly.
What narrative is this for 2024?
This narrative is that these are the three big challenges that India faces. That the result of Mr. Modi's ideology and his policies is economic inequality is increasing, polarization is taking place and is intensifying, and political centralization is resulting in states getting weaker, constitutional bodies getting weaker, and the constitution being ignored in more instances than there is actually been adopted. You may argue with us on the narrative. Sure. I want them to argue on our narrative. I want the BJP to attack us on our narrative, but they're attacking us on our t-shirts, on our containers.
Is also the one of the
what
things
sort of a crappy exchange are we having with the BJP on a day-to-day basis? I don't understand. You take objection
I think
to
it's that lowest common
No, I mean, it's ridiculous.
denominator.
I welcome
multiple.
a political debate. I have said this when I responded on the T-shirt and the container debate and something else. I said, look, these are the political objectives of the Bharat Jodo Yatra. I am prepared for a debate on a daily basis. And then you have this, Jhoot Ki Rani saying that he went to Kanyakumari and didn't go and visit Vivekananda Memorial. We put out a video. He started the Bharat Jodo Yatra from the Vivekananda Memorial. Do you want to reduce the debate to this? This level of falsification.
Is it also a message that you're sending out to the other political, the non-BJP parties, that that you are or your party is the one which is going to be leading the fight against?
Yes, YES, yes.
Okay.
We are not going to play poodle anymore. Opposition unity without a strong Congress is not possible. So far, the Congress has given more than what it has taken in any coalition agreement. Coalition means give and take. Coalition is compromise. I'm sorry to say that many parties, like-minded parties, have grown at the expense of the Congress. We can't allow this to happen. Congress has to be strong. And the Congress, we are not, if you're asking me, are we doing this Bharat Jodo Yatra for opposition unity? Answer is no. We are doing it for strengthening the Congress party, which we believe will be in the benefit of opposition unity if and when this opposition unity take concrete shape in the run-up to 2024.
Right.
If and when. Yeah. But that's not at the back of our minds.
So opposition unity, everybody working on, but everybody's working on leading the moves towards
right
unity.
Now, we are not interested. We are not talking of opposition unity. Right now, we are interested only in strengthening the Congress party. We are not interested in trying to project a prime minister for 2024.
Why?
We are not, because our elections are not a beauty contest between individuals. It's if the party is weak.
It sounds very catchy, beauty
No, it's
contest,
not,
but it has become personality driven.
Because you people have made it that way.
But hasn't it
You
become
people have
when
made it
people
that way.
go to vote?
We have political parties. Political parties have poll symbols. They have manifestos. They have organizations. They have mobile. Of course, they have faces.
Yeah.
Of course they have
When
faces.
Bengal election
Of course they
happens,
have
isn't
faces.
it Mamata Banerjee
But
that they go
already-
to vote? When in Andhra Pradesh, don't they say KCR ko vote dena, Stalin ko vote
It's
dena?
been in past.
It's always Indira Gandhi.
Party
Yeah.
is still,
India is Indira,
party
Indira is
is still
India.
important. Party. I know a lot of people who vote still. There is people still vote for the
Mr.
Congress.
Pilu Modi is listening to you from there when you say that party is important, individual is not important. He
I
said
didn't say
India
that.
is
I
Indira,
didn't
right?
say that. Now, this is a typical, way of misinterpreting. What did I say? I said our elections are not a beauty contest between individuals. They are a choice of political parties.
So political party mein it is headed by individuals. No, it's not headed by elephants
I know
and
individuals
dogs.
who've been in the Congress who have lost and who've gone to the BJP and won. Why? The same individual who is lost in the Congress has won in the BJP ticket. Why? Because people are voting for the BJP. People are voting for Mr. Modi. I'm not denying that fact. People voted for Mr. Vajpayee. People voted for Mr. Rajiv Gandhi. People voted for Indira Gandhi. But it's a mixture of both party organization, party ideology, party symbols, and individual leadership. Right now, our challenge is to strengthen our organization, bring it to a level of preparedness, give our party workers a sense of belonging, a sense of enthusiasm, and a sense of we can do and we will do.
But you become, in spite of the
cannot-
Bharat Jodo
we cannot
Yatra.
be led by opposition parties. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I wanted
We cannot
to-
be led. Sorry. When I say led by, what I meant to say is that we cannot dance to the tune of somebody else.
Okay.
Congress is the pivot of any non-BJP coalition. Anybody who thinks that the Congress is not going to be the pivot, I'm afraid is living in a fool's paradise.
So it's a clear message for KCR. It's a clear message for
They can
Nitish
do
Kumar.
whatever they want. They can do whatever. They can have a third front. I worked in a third front government. Mr. Chidambaram was the finance minister. I was his advisor. And I know what problems were there in a third front. I was a minister in a UPA government. The UPA was a different type of government. It was not a third front government, although the CPM kept out, in UPA 1. But by and large, the Congress was in. And what gave stability, what gave instability to Devegowda's government was the fact that the Congress was out. What gave instability to Chandrasekhar was
Outside
the Congress was
support.
out.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
But that's
And
because
what
you guys
gave stability
chose
to UPA 1 and UPA 2 was the fact that the Congress was in.
So your priority is to strengthen Congress party till 2024. This is your
My
first priority.
first objective is
President to banao pehle. When is the
Congress
president?
our first milestone is we must reach 150 seats. That's our first milestone. Our second milestone will reach 200
And what
seats.
about the Congress presidential election?
If we have this podcast a week from now, you'll know who the Congress president is.
So
You call me back on the 1st and we can discuss on who the Congress president is.
Right. So that's the agenda. You come back.
On the 1st, if there is no election. If there is an election, you call me back on the 19th and we can have a discussion.
But this whole thing, I mean, Rahul Gandhi keeps saying that, there will be an election and I'm not the one
Of course,
and
he's been
everybody's
saying
the
this.
one.
He's been saying this.
And then...
So if anybody wants to contest, he's welcome. I was sitting in Trivandrum press conference next to one potential contender and I was asked this question. And I turned to the potential...
Why don't you name him?
I turned to the potential contender and says, we're a democratic party. Whoever wants to contest can contest the election.
Poor Jitendra Prasad also listened to that.
Jitendra Prasad contested.
Contested what happened.
See, I'll tell you. Since you've asked
You
me,
remember that period.
Let me tell you, in 137 years, we've had elections only on 4 occasions. 1938, when Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose defeated Gandhi's candidate. 1950, when Purushottam Das Tandon, supported by Sardar Patel, defeated Acharya Kriplani, who was supported by Jawaharlal Nehru. 1997, when Sitaram Kesri contested, won against Sharad Pawar and Rajesh Pilot. And 2000, when Sonia Gandhi defeated Jitendra Prasad. We are the only political party which has a system for electing the president.
But why bother
But once
now?
again, we are not a party, we have not always elected a president. We have elected a president only 4 occasions in 137 years. But we are the only party that has provision and has the system for electing the election. I believe, my personal belief, I have said so and I don't mind repeating it. I am a great believer of the Kamaraj model of management, which is to talk to everybody, find a consensus candidate. This is what Kamaraj did in 1964. This is what Kamaraj did in 66. This is what Kamaraj tried to do in 67. In 67 there was an election, but of course there was a compromise soon thereafter. So I believe that this consensus creation model is a better model than the British model. Now today the result of it is, in the British model, you have Truss, Liz Truss and all her supporters, and Rishi Sunak and his supporters are completely out. It's a winner-take-all model. The consensus
But here
model...
the winner is going to be Rahul Gandhi,
No.
regardless of who is
No, how?
picked.
If he's not Mr. Madhusudan Mistry has said very clearly, there is no write-in candidate. You cannot write Rahul Gandhi on the ballot form. The ballot form will only have
It's
the
only
names.
going to be Rahul Gandhi, regardless of who
So
becomes
you wait till the
president,
first.
right?
No, you wait till the first. No.
Look,
You wait.
Himanta
Mr. Rahul Gandhi for the next 5.5 months is going to be on the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Next 5.5 months. This is going to end only in the end
So
of
whoever
February.
comes in Paduka Rakke, he will be the president for that, no?
You wait till the first. You wait till the first.
Look, it's going to be the Gandhi family all the time.
No, the Gandhi
Controlling
family
everything,
occupies a special place in the Congress. It occupies a unique place in the Congress. Doesn't the RSS occupy a unique place in the BJP?
It's just that the people
Of
keep
course,
changing
they
in
do.
the RSS, right? And people keep changing in the BJP, but people don't change in the Gandhi family. It's the family, right?
I mean, I don't understand. Frankly, I don't understand the distinction that you're drawing. The family has given the country 3 prime ministers, right? The family has an unparalleled record of service to the party and to the country. The party, in its wisdom, because of its belief, has decided to give the family a special place in its scheme of things. I welcome that. And it's a reflection of reality. The family has contested election, has lost election. Indira Gandhi lost in 77. She was re-elected by the same electorate in 1980. Mr. Gandhi was rejected by the electorate in 2019. So this is not Anmol Ambani or whatever Isha Ambani who will be rejected by the shareholders.
That's a
This
private enterprise, so let's not even get
it's
into
a private
that.
enterprise built on public
So-
resource. So don't draw this distinction
See,
between
this is
private
where I'm saying
enterprise.
your leftist Naxal ideology coming in.
I know too
into
much of the
play out
Indian.
here.
You know
This is
too much. I know too much of the
anti-
Indian corporate sector. So don't
anti-business-
draw this distinction between private and public. All I'm saying is,
Okay.
in the public domain, there's a certain sense of accountability. People can reject you. People rejected Indira Gandhi. People have rejected in Amethi, have rejected Mr. Rahul Gandhi. We can argue about what
There
the
are
margins
balance
are.
sheets in a private enterprise, whereas in a public.
So the Gandhi
Okay.
family has a unique place in the Congress party. They will continue to have. If you're telling me that they will do backseat driving?
Look, okay.
That's what you're saying.
That's
That
always happened, right?
Whoever is the Congress president,
He
that they will
announced
do
the name of Charanjit Singh Channi in Punjab.
Huh. ठीक है.
And then Mrs. Gandhi was a president.
Lot of thought went into Chennai. See, you're not privy to neither am I privy to all. Certainly not you. If I am not privy, you can't be privy.
Yes, sir.
There are processes that have been gone through before these decisions are taken. These are not instantaneous decisions that taken. Now, if the fear that you are expressing that whoever comes on this is Bharata and Lord Rama is somewhere else. He's in the Ayodhya, he's in the Bharat Jodo Yatra. He'll finish the Bharat Jodo Yatra, and then the Padukas will be removed, and he will
I said Bharata, you say Shankaracharya. You said it just like Shankaracharya jodoed India at that point. Rahul Gandhi. Look at the comparison you're doing between Rahul Gandhi and Shankaracharya.
I'm just
right?
saying that very few people, the Bhakti movement started in the South.
And then you accuse the
and
BJP of
Bhakti
being
movement-
bhakts.
No,
Look
no,
at the
no.
Bhakti movement you
mo-
are doing.
Yeah, but no, this is not Bhakti movement. This is tapasya. In fact, Mr. Rahul Gandhi said in the civil society that there are two emotions, there are two pillars of Indian Indian philosophy. One is bhakti and the other one is tapasya. I am doing tapasya. He certainly doesn't want bhakti from all of us, unlike
Right.
many others on the other side of the political spectrum.
So you're going to come back to us after
I will come back to you.
when the
let's say,
president-
I come back to you on the 1st of October evening in case the candidate is unanimous. Okay?
Right.
I come back to you on the 19th of October if there is an election and there is announcement of the winner will be made. So either on the first evening or the 19th evening I'll come and we can have this discussion.
Thank you so much for being part of this discussion.
Thank
you
you.
very much. Thanks. Thank you for watching or listening in to ANI Podcast with Smita Prakash. Do like and subscribe to whichever platform you watched or listened to it. Namaste. Jai Hind.